So when you think of summer clothing, now especially, you're thinking shorts and flip-flops.
And ladies, we think about cute summer dresses and tank tops, but Two Wants to Know found out that we should pick dark jeans instead. Tanya, come on.
I know you don't want to wear the dark jeans, but the light clothes may keep the bugs away, but dark clothes can help you beat the heat, at least the sun exposure. You may be rethinking your summer wardrobe after you hear this information. Two Wants to Know starts now. It's hot outside, and the Auto Cool claims to keep your car cool no matter how hot it gets.
If it works, I'll definitely buy one.
Is it worth your money, or is it just a bunch of hot air? We put it to the two test. This certainly looks like a government document.
The scammers have gotten very creative and very good at mimicking the labels, the logos, you know, the whole impression of it being a government document.
Problem is, it's not, and it can cost you big bucks. What you need to look for today on Two Wants to Know at 5:30. The judge said case closed, but Two Wants to Know is, well, not so sure. I'm talking about the plea deal that ended the case of Billy Bailey. He's now serving about 30 days for hitting and killing 11-year-old Hassani Wesley. Hassani was running to catch the school bus, and he died that December morning. In April, there was a mistrial. Monday, Bailey accepted a plea agreement. At the same time, during that plea agreement, we also learned about the reason for the mistrial, new information from Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. And that new information has Two Wants to Know digging deeper. You see, the information revealed just yesterday showed Hassani's school bus driver, Stephanie Fulton, had a driving history that included running stop signs, driving the wrong way, speeding in a school bus. None of that, though, was in her criminal record. We wanted to know why the district attorney didn't know about this information before the mistrial in April. So Ben Briscoe spent the day working to find out. All right, Ben, let's hear it.
Tanya, since the new information came from the school district, that's where I started asking questions. A spokesperson said the bus driver's history was in the employee's permanent record, which is confidential under state law. So the school district had to wait to a subpoena from the district attorney's office to be able to open up this information.
Hi, this is Ben Briscoe over at News 2.
I called the DA to see why his office didn't ask the school for the driver's background sooner. I never heard back, so I reached out to criminal defense attorney Locke Clifford to give us more context. He showed me what's standard practice, running the driver's criminal record in a matter of minutes. The only conviction to show up? A speeding ticket from 1992. Clifford says, based off of that clean criminal record, he thinks there's no need for the DA to investigate further.
Be no reason to think we need to go check her school bus driving records. Now, I don't think that's enough to put them on notice. So as far as I can tell, this whole matter, as tragic and as sad as it is, was handled properly.
But this new information from the school district doesn't match up with the criminal record. Again, the school says the driver had a history of problems, like driving the wrong way in a traffic circle. So I went back to the school district for an explanation. A spokesperson said if they find out an employee broke a serious law like sexual abuse, they will immediately turn that case over to law enforcement. But if it's just a minor crime like a traffic infraction, they like to deal with that internally. Tanya, that's why the driver's criminal history didn't set off any red flags for the district attorney.
All right, and you wonder how many of those minor infractions can they have. Again, the school district submitted more than 1,400 pages of new evidence. Only a 4-page summary is in the public file, but Two Wants to Know put in a request to view all 1,400 pages, and we'll let you know when and if we do get all of those documents. It is happening in our state. It's happening all across the country. The FBI just wrapped up a nationwide crackdown on child trafficking called Operation Cross Country. Police and FBI agents in 106 cities rescued 168 victims of child sex trafficking. Now, if that number of children is not shocking enough, many of those victims have never been reported missing. The sting also led to the arrests of 281 pimps, they say, who now face state and federal charges. In the 8 times a crackdown like this has happened, the FBI has rescued nearly 3,600 children. One of those busts happened in Charlotte. Investigators arrested 3 pimps. Polaris is the National Human Trafficking Resource Center, and their data shows that North Carolina is the 12th highest state for calls regarding human trafficking nationwide. No one really wants to think about it, but you know, it could be happening in your own neighborhood. We wanted to take a closer look and share some signs that might suggest human trafficking. People whose communications and movements are always monitored, or someone who's moved through multiple locations in a short amount of time. Places where locks and fences are positioned to keep people inside homes, that might, you know, send up some red flags for you. Individuals who have no contact with friends or family and no access to identification documents, bank accounts, or cash. And if you're thinking that you are looking for someone from a different country, you need to think again, because the FBI says 33% of human trafficking victims are Americans. If you suspect trafficking, you can call the National Human Trafficking Resource Center. We do have the number for you, and we have it in our website as well, but you see it at the bottom of your screen. It's an 888 number, 373-7888. It's hard to hold businesses accountable if they're in charge of policing themselves. A bill right now making its way through our state legislature lets businesses do a voluntary audit of environmental compliance programs. This part is about, well, 4 pages or so. As it reads right now, if a business was found to be polluting the environment, they would not pay fines or penalties as long as they could prove that they did their own self-audit and that they fixed the violations in a reasonable amount of time. The self-audit doesn't have too many guidelines. It has to have a start and an end time, but it does not have to contain pictures, field notes, findings, recommendations. In fact, it has a whole lot of leeway. The bill's sponsors think a self-audit will be an incentive for businesses to voluntarily turn themselves in, knowing that they won't be fined by the government. A bill that has already passed the North Carolina House could mean changes for BB gun owners in tried counties. House Bill 1250 would take air rifles, air pistols, and BB guns out of the definition of dangerous firearms. And let me explain why. Right now, there is a law on the books regarding kids' access to dangerous firearms. The child has to be under a parent's supervision if they're handling a weapon. In 17 counties, BB guns, air rifles, air pistols are considered dangerous weapons. But one of the bill's primary sponsors, Sarah Stevens, told the Winston-Salem Journal that she believes kids should be allowed to play with those kinds of guns unsupervised. The new bill deems them not dangerous in 5 more counties, including Stanley and Surry counties. BB guns are still considered dangerous in 12 other counties. Those include Caswell, Forsyth, and Stokes. In Guilford County, they are already considered not dangerous. Well, it is time to make a list, and it is time to check it twice. Yeah, that's Santa's job during Christmas time, right? But today it's your job. The present that you get is knowing that you have all the documents you need if an emergency were to happen. I want to show you this checklist of important documents from American Security Products Company. You probably have a whole lot of this paperwork, from Social Security cards, birth certificates, to insurance policies and health ID cards. Problem is, they're spread out between all those different file folders that you have at home. You do that, of course, to keep organized, which is great thinking. But American Security recommends you gather copies or originals of each document on the list, and you put it in, well, something as simple as a 3-ring binder. That way, they say you can grab it quickly in an emergency. They say it's also really helpful if there's one person in your house who does all of the paperwork and the bills and things like that, and if the other person would have to find one of those documents, they would be spending some precious time looking for them. We've put this checklist in the Two Wants to Know section. Maybe you can use some of your downtime of summer to prepare yourself, just in case. All this week, Two Wants to Know is sharing 2 tests to help you save a little cash. Today, we're focusing on a product that claims to keep your car cool, even if it's been sitting in a hot parking lot all day long. You know, your car can be steamy. I'm taking a look at that temperature gauge right there. Whew, it looks like 90 degrees. Okay, so it's been sitting there all day. It's 90 degrees. The air has not been on. That's where the Auto Cool comes in. It claims that it can keep your car cool. Karen Greer from our sister station has the results.
The dog days of summer can be steamy if your car sits in the hot sun for hours at a time.
What's it like when you get in it?
It's just terrible.
The amazing AutoCool, the ingenious solar-powered ventilation system that keeps cars cooler.
The AutoCool solar-powered ventilator is supposed to silently and efficiently help rid your vehicle of hot, stale, and stuffy air, even on scorching summer days.
If it works, I'll definitely buy one.
Brian is ready to see if he can keep his ride cool. So we read the directions, placed it in the middle of the window. Photojournalist David Brooks purchased 2 thermometers for us to test the temperature in this car with the solar ventilator, and another one that looks just like it. Well, a couple of hours later, thermometers tell the story.
This is the car in which we did not use the fan, the AutoCool, and reading a 126 degrees. And this car here, we did use the AutoCool, the fan. It's still about 125 degrees.
For comparison, Brian sat in the car without the AutoCool. Then he sat in the auto-cooled car.
Not too much difference.
So does Brian think this is all just a lot of hot air?
Gotta give it 2 thumbs down.
Not so cool from the AutoCool. So you may want to stay away from that product, but you still need to be aware of the sun. SkinCancer.org says nearly 3.7 million skin cancers are diagnosed in our nation annually, and the vast majority of them are caused by UV. But what you wear could help. Why certain clothes are better than some sunscreens in 60 seconds. It may be best to go dark. SkinCancer.org says a pair of dark blue denim jeans allows only 1/1700th of the sun's UV rays to reach your skin.
Really a pretty nice day across the Piedmont, have to say. Gorgeous out here in the Weather Garden right now. We are finding a couple of scattered showers that are starting to move closer to home. In fact, some folks already have been seeing that. Most of the action still right there close to the North Carolina, South Carolina border. But as we zoom in a little bit, see this shower starting to work its way up a little bit farther north along I-73. Wilkes County, you're seeing some showers right now, similar in Surrey County too. This is just going to be possible throughout the next couple of hours. You could catch yourself with a quick little shower that puts down a little bit of rain. Otherwise, some sunshine out here, really nice. And temperature-wise, it's not that bad. This is why we have this high-pressure area off the coast. It's been giving us that flow off the ocean, so some ocean-cooled air coming into us over the last, say, 3 days, but that's going to change. Here's this warm front that's moving north of us right now. Below it, that's where the hot, humid, sticky mess is that was with us almost all week last week. This is hot summer-like air, and as that starts to kind of move on in tomorrow, it'll do a couple of things. It'll warm our temperatures up, it'll also increase our humidity, and it'll bring back that chance for thunderstorms pretty much each afternoon, some days more than others. Tomorrow will be one of those days where it's very likely to see a couple storms popping up during the afternoon. Thursday and Friday, though, slightly drier air, but ooh, it gets hot. Low 90s coming in for Thursday and for Friday as we approach our weekend. We want to show you each of the next 7 days right here on the 7-day forecast. We go up to the low 90s for Thursday and for Friday. Just a small chance for a storm there. It's mostly dry for the end of the week. Heading into Saturday and Sunday, though, that storm chance will increase to about 30% each afternoon. Just hit or miss summertime variety storms. High temperatures there right around 90, but it gets hotter next week, Tanya.
Hotter. I didn't know that was possible yet. Okay. Let's get to some of the stories making headlines today. Frank Mickens, Julie Luck in the Information Center with the latest, including a big announcement from the Greensboro Coliseum.
A really big announcement, Tanya. For the big news, the first time for the Coliseum, Sir Paul McCartney is coming to Greensboro. The Coliseum tweeted hints all day long, but Mayor Nancy Vaughn made it official this afternoon. McCartney will bring his Out There tour to the Coliseum on October 30th. Guinness World Records called him the most successful composer and recording artist of all time. No doubt this will be big for the Greensboro Coliseum and the city of Greensboro. Of course, we'll have more on the announcement at 6 as well as 11.
Secretary of State John Kerry flew to northern Iraq to hold emergency talks. He's pressing for political reform to help save the country from collapsing under a fierce insurgency. The Obama administration is urging Iraq's Shiite-led government to give more power to Sunni and Kurdish political rivals to help end this violence. The UN says at least 1,000 people have died in fighting in Iraq this month, mostly civilians.
There's news of abducted teenagers in Nigeria more than 2 months after Islamic militants kidnapped hundreds of Nigerian girls from their boarding school. Witnesses say Boko Haram has taken more captives, and this time the extremists reportedly abducted at least 90 girls, women, and boys during an attack on Saturday. Nigerian officials could not confirm the kidnappings. The missing girls still have not been found.
When you go to the beach, sunscreen is a given, but how do you protect yourself from the sun on a regular work day? Short answer is your clothes. Dr. Chris Youngell from the Winston-Salem Dermatology is here with us, and you're talking about clothes as our main protection?
Absolutely. Most people don't think about it. We are always talking about sunscreen, but clothing give you a very adequate defense on most days when you're out and about.
Okay, there's lots of fabrics that contain some sort of sun protection, and so we've got a picture to show you that shows the label there, that UPF label. And much like a liquid sunscreen, so it's got a 50 protection. The number indicates the fraction of the sun's rays that can penetrate the fabric. What do we think about these kinds of clothes?
I think that labeling is really helpful for people because the clothing varies. You know, what you have in your wardrobe is going to vary, but if you have a UPF label, you know that yeah, if I wear this, this is going to give me a sunscreen protection of about 50. And most of the clothing that's labeled in this way, they are about 50.
Okay, now most of us don't have all of this UPF clothing in our closet, so what do we have that we should wear? There are some things that kind of go against our conventional wisdom. First and foremost, what colors you should be wearing. I'm thinking light colors is the way that you should go, and they say no, it's the dark colors.
Yeah, which is the way most people think. Most people will throw a t-shirt on their kids, throw them in the pool after they think they've had enough sun, a white t-shirt. But actually a white t-shirt will give you a sun protection factor of maybe 5, and when you wet it, you're down to 3. So not really a good choice. Actually, the darker colors, bright colors, red, black, navy, green, will all increase the sun protection.
All right, let's talk about some fabrics, because normally I'm thinking about linen and I'm thinking about cotton, but you can put your hand and you can see right through this. You say, this is not what we need to do. It may be lightweight, but it's not protecting us sun-wise.
Yeah, because of the loose weave, you're going to be getting a lot of sun through that, where if you pick something that's more of a denim material, you can't see anything through that. This is going to give you a sun protection factor of probably about 1,000.
Okay, and so even though it's white, it will give you that protection because it's a heavier fabric. And then if you wear the dry fit, that's helpful. One more quick thing. I know we all wear these beach hats. There's a difference between these two beach hats in sun protection. This one you can see through, and so therefore if you can see through it, you should not wear it. You need one that you can't see through.
This one's tightly woven. They both have the brim 3 inches, so you say, oh yeah, good sun protection. I'm wearing a hat, but the open weave on that makes that less desirable, so you're going to get a lot of UPF on your sun on your scalp.
And guys, baseball caps don't do you any favors. We've got more on our website as well. Take a look in the 2 Wants to Know section of WFMY News2.com. All right, so some things are obvious. We're outside. You need SPF. It's hot, but some things aren't as easy to spot, like fake documents. When we come back, we're telling you how to spot the real ones from the fakes. Photoshop, Picasa, cut and paste. Thanks to computers, people can really pretty much make anything look official. But looks can be deceiving, and in this case, postal inspectors say the fakes are the heart of a scheme.
Corporate Record Services is a fraudulent company.
No mincing words. The company, Corporate Record Service, used misleading mailings to trick thousands of small business owners into paying unnecessary fees.
The forms that these businesses were receiving look legitimate. They look like a governmental document that was a requirement.
For $125, CRS offered to fill out forms supposedly required by the state. The forms looked urgent, written in legal language with a "please respond by" mark in the corner.
The scammers have gotten very creative and very good at mimicking the labels, the logos, you know, the whole impression of it being a government document.
The owners of CRS, Thomas and Stephen Fata, are the subject of complaints in several states, including Texas, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Arizona, Delaware, Indiana, Illinois, Virginia, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Ordinarily, when you get a document that looks like a government document, you respond. So we really need to let people know that people are scamming in this way.
We always suggest to people, please check out with your local Attorney General's office or your Better Business Bureau to always find out whether or not this is a legitimate required item.
We get lots of calls about that ourselves. Thomas and Stephen are awaiting trial. They're also the subject of a court order not to send deceptive mailings. There is something you can do if you think that you have gotten a deceptive mailing. Postal inspectors say you should always, again, check with the Attorney General or the Better Business Bureau to see if the mailing is legitimate and see if they're building a case possibly against that same company. We're on top of a developing story out of Charlotte. All right, Frank, bring us up to date.
All right, Tanya, so we have some information that indicates that Angelo Smith, the suspect in the disappearance of Bianca Tanner, the teacher at Reedy Fork Elementary who's been missing for weeks now, they say Angelo Smith is now on the run. And Angelo is the boyfriend of Bianca Tanner. They live together in Charlotte, and he was the person who called police and notified them of her disappearance. As of this point, he has not been arrested. However, we again are being told that he is on the run. We're getting more information as we speak, Tanya, and of course we'll have more details as we get it and hope to have that for WFMY News 2 at 6.
All right, looking forward to that update. All right, just a minute ago we were talking about fraud. You don't want to get schemed by fake documents, especially not when it comes to your vacation time. In 60 seconds, a few ideas that can help you make sure you have a hassle-free vacation. Make sure you're watching 2 Wants to Know tomorrow because we're bringing you two tests in one. We're testing an online dog tracker, and Consumer Reports is sharing which long-lasting nail polishes really work. And that is all tomorrow on 2 Wants to Know at 5:30. We're always making sure that you're spending your money wisely. Thanks for joining us for 2 Wants to Know at 5:30. WFMY News 2 at 6 starts now.